Reactive power. Reactive power is power that flows back and forth between the inductive windings of the generator and the inductive windings of motors, transformers, etc., which are part of the electrical load. This power does no useful work in the electrical load, nor does it present load to the engine. It does apply load to the generator and limits the capacity of the generator. Real power. Real power is the product of current, voltage, and power factor, the cosine of the angle by which current leads or lags voltage, and is expressed as W, watts. Seal. A special padlock or a breakable sealing device installed by CPS Energy on metering equipment and on enclosures located on the line side of meters. Only CPS Energy personnel are authorized to possess, install, remove, or break CPS Energy seals and locks. Service conductors. The conductors from the service point to the service disconnecting means. Service drop. The overhead service conductors extending from CPS Energy's overhead distribution system to the point of delivery location. The connection is made by CPS Energy to the customer's service entrance conductors at the building or other structure. Triplex or quadruplex cables are used for most service drops and consist of one bare neutral and 2 or 3 insulated aluminum conductors. Larger service drops consist of 3 or 4 ethylene propylene rubber, EPR, insulated copper conductors. They may be installed either open, mouthed, where each phase conductor is separate and attached to the structure or building separately, or cabled, bundled, where all phase conductors are twisted together and attached to the building or structure at one point. Service entrance conductors. On overhead systems, the service conductors between the terminals of the service equipment and a point usually outside the building, clear of building walls, where joined by tap or splice to the service drop. On underground systems, the conductors between the terminals of the service equipment and the point of connection to the service lateral. Note 1. Where service equipment is located outside the building walls, there may be no service entrance conductors, or they may be entirely outside the building. Note 2. Service entrance conductors including grounded conductors installed within or ahead of CPS Energy metering equipment shall be insulated. Service equipment. The necessary equipment, usually consisting of a circuit breaker, S, or switch, ES, and fuse, S, and their accessories, connected to the load end of service conductors to a building or other structure, or an otherwise designated area, and intended to constitute the main control and cut-off of the supply. Service head. The service head shall be an approved rain-tight type, properly sized to accommodate the service raceway and service entrance conductors. It should be positioned within 12 to 24 inches from the anchorage point of the service drop to allow the bottom of the drip loop to comply with minimum clearances specified in Section 500 and shown in Figure 501. Service lateral. The underground service conductors between the utility source, including conductors from any risers at a pole or other structure or from pad mount transformers, and the first point of connection to the service entrance conductors in a terminal box, meter, or other enclosure inside or outside the building wall. Note 1. Service lateral conductors including grounded conductors installed within or ahead of CPS Energy metering equipment shall be insulated. Service raceway. The raceway, S, that contains service conductors including service lateral conductors and service entrance conductors. Above ground. Raceway as used herein for above ground installations shall be limited to galvanized rigid metal conduit, RMC, intermediate metal conduit, IMC, electrical metallic tubing, EMT, and busways. The specific raceway types permitted will be as specified in the applicable section of these standards. Exception. Where a tap box is approved by CPS Energy in accordance with Section 1000, a throat metal wireway without removable covers shall be furnished by customer to be used between transformer and tap box. Below ground. Raceway as used herein for underground installations shall be limited to galvanized rigid metal conduit, RMC, intermediate metal conduit, IMC, and rigid polyvinyl chloride conduit, PVC, Schedule 40 and 80 PVC. The specific raceway types permitted will be as specified in the applicable section of these standards. Note: junction boxes and or conduit bodies are not permitted as part of raceway installations containing service conductors. Shall, must, or will. These terms signify mandatory compliance with the provisions outlined in the CPS Energy's electric service standards. Supply facilities. All facilities including the service drops or laterals and meter, together with auxiliary devices and poles, if any, owned and installed by CPS Energy used to connect CPS Energy's electric supply lines to customers' installation. CPS Energy will install and maintain the electric supply lines and service installations on CPS Energy's side of the point of delivery. CPS Energy shall not be required to install or maintain any facilities or devices except meters, on customers' side of the point of delivery. Supply lines. Those conductors used by CPS Energy to transmit electric energy and their necessary supporting or containing structures. Transfer switch. A transfer switch is an electrical device for switching loads between alternate power sources. An automatic transfer switch monitors the condition of the sources and connects the load to the alternate source if the preferred source fails. Transformer room. An approved space within customer's building or structure for housing CPS Energy-owned distribution transformers that supply electric service to customers' premises. Transformer rooms shall be designed and built by customer in accordance with NEC and CPS Energy standards and be suitable for the purpose intended. Transformer vault. An approved space for housing CPS Energy-owned distribution transformers that supply electric service to customers' premises. Transformer vaults shall be designed and built by CPS Energy or customer in accordance with NEC and CPS Energy standards and be suitable for the purpose intended. Transocket. A single enclosure containing instrument transformer rated metering equipment that includes meter socket, current transformers, voltage transformers, if required, and test switch. Where the current limitations of a self-contained meter socket are exceeded, a transocket may be installed as standard equipment for applications of 480 volts or less. Underground residential distribution, BORD, system. Those residential areas in the overhead distribution district that are served from an isolated underground type electric system. Voltage dip. Voltage dip is the dip in voltage that results when a load is added, occurring before the regulator can correct it, or resulting from the functioning of the voltage regulator to unload an overloaded engine generator. Voltage, nominal. A nominal value assigned to a circuit or system for the purpose of conveniently designating its voltage class, e.g. 240/120 volts, 480Y/277 volt, 600 volts, etc. The actual voltage that a circuit operates can vary from the nominal value within a range that permits satisfactory operation of equipment. Note: see ANSI 84 January 1995, Voltage Ratings for Electric Power Systems and Equipment, 60 Hz. Voltage regulation. Voltage regulation is a measure that states the difference between maximum and minimum steady-state voltage as a percentage of nominal voltage. Watertight. Constructed so that moisture will not enter the enclosure under specified test conditions. Watt. The watt is a unit of electric power. In direct current, DC, circuits, wattage equals voltage times amperage. In alternating current, AC, circuits, wattage equals effective, RMS, voltage times effective, RMS, amperage times power factor times a constant dependent on the number of phases. 1000 watts equal 1 kW. Weatherproof. Constructed or protected so that exposure to the weather will not interfere with successful operation.